YouTube, it is your boy Above Average Cody here, and I'm sure no matter how much you've played Halo Infinite, I'm sure at some point you've had trouble finishing that final headshot, you've had trouble winning 1v1 gunfights, or you've had problems over-aiming, under-aiming the sniper, and just completely whiffing the bullet. Well guys, I had these problems a little too often it seems for how much I've played the game, but through controller settings, through some certain special drills I've been doing, I feel that I have finally dialed in my aim for Halo Infinite Ranked. And let me tell you guys, I'm going to walk you through everything I did with the hopes to help you minimize those problems that I just discussed. Now, first off, the most important thing that everybody likes to talk about is controller settings, guys. I have done what feels like hundreds of controller settings for this game, but let me tell you, I feel like I have just now cracked the code to fix the biggest things that have been hindering my aim. Now, I'm not going to say this is the meta. I'm not going to say you have to use these exact settings, but I'm going to give you guys the general layout on what I did to my settings that I feel gave me the highest advantage when it comes to not only 1v1 gunfights and things like that, but also finishing those one-shot kills and snapping up to the head, which did become harder once they adjusted the BR for the winter update. Now, guys, I used to play in the 5s, the 6s, the 7s for sensitivity, because the general rule of thumb with FPS has always been, oh, I have to be twitchy, I have to be able to turn on kids and do the crack snipe and hit those shots. In Halo, that's really not going to be the case. The bread and butter 9 times out of 10 is going to be this 1v1, this frontal gunfight. You're already looking in the enemy's direction, and you have to hit the most bullets you can to either finish the kill as quickly as you can, or just hit more bullets to win the gunfight, guys. So I have found that lowering my sensitivity has helped me ever so much. I dropped down to 3.5, 4.5 horizontal and vertical, and I went up to 3 on the look Excel because that will help reduce the slow turn a little bit when spinning around. These settings do come across a little slow when I'm trying to 180, but again, Halo is almost never about turning on enemies and much more about winning the gunfight that's in front of you so that you can get those perfect medals and absolutely melt the enemy and make them think that you are just a better player. So I found I had most success with lower sensitivity, guys, because I was having a lot of trouble controlling my reticle and keeping it over the enemy while they were strafing. But most importantly, and you guys have seen this on stream in the last few months, I was having a lot of trouble snapping over to headshots to hit that final bullet. My teammates would get them one shot, and I would literally take 4 or 5 bursts some days to finish the kill because I was just running a sensitivity and look Excel that was too high for, again, the bread and butter of your gameplay, which is snapping to the target and hitting that burst, especially to the head when their shields are cracked. So again, I did go down on sensitivity. This is going to come down to personal preference on what you feel like your sweet spot is, but I will tell you guys, a very small percentage of even pro players run high look Excel with high sensitivity at the same time. Now, I'm not saying you can't handle it. I'm not saying high sensitivity is not for you specifically, but I'm just saying I have found the most success and the most gunfight wins with the lower sensitivity, and that's really the first step I took to dialing in my aim and fixing those problems I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And the second thing I want to talk about, guys, is dead zones. Now, this has been probably the hottest topic in any game with controller settings ever because everybody has a different setting and a different opinion. And for mine personally, I want to give a little shout out to the homie Excuse My Host, who gave me some dead zone settings that I feel just really made me one with the look thumbstick. And it sounds corny, but I'm going to tell you guys why I like to put it that way. What he had me do was put my axial dead zone up to 3 on the move thumbstick, the max input threshold to 7 on the look, and then I actually put my max input threshold to 0 on the move thumbstick. Now, I'm first going to talk about the move thumbstick, guys, and the max input threshold, I've always been on the side of the high max input threshold gives you the fastest strafe and can make you move like a demon. I still stand by this, but when it comes to aim and hitting the most bullets you can in a 1v1 strafing gunfight, the faster strafe you'll find can actually throw off your aim because the reticle is moving around so fast in this side-by-side movement that you have a lot more trouble using the right stick and compensating and keeping that reticle over the enemy in these super fast gunfights. So I've actually been having more success with the lower max input threshold and the slower strafe, because guys, 9 times out of 10, the winner of the gunfight is going to be the one that hits more bullets, not necessarily the one that's bobbing and weaving and dipping and moving around. Now, that's all good and fine for making the enemy miss bullets, but if it is throwing off your aim and making you miss in general, guys, it's just not going to help as much when it comes to the overall accuracy of these gunfights and hitting the bullets and getting those perfect medals. Now, moving on to the look thumbstick. Oh my goodness, this is probably the biggest thing that has improved my aim, guys. The max input threshold up to 7. And then the axial dead zone up to 6. With the dead zones, again, I had trouble with snapping around targets, snapping up to the headshots, but with the dead zones and the input threshold going up, it increases the variation in how much you move the stick to make those finer aim movements. Now, you'll notice here, get the reticle off the enemy so aim assist doesn't throw us off. I can move my stick now, and these quick little movements don't really move the reticle as much. I have to really crank the stick over to do these big movements. So when I'm in a gunfight, say maybe my hands are cold, I'm being a little jumpy, instead of those little movements, doing this and taking my reticle all over the place and me missing all the headshots like I used to, these smaller jittery movements don't move the reticle as much, which I find help a lot, because when you have an enemy one-shot, guys, sometimes you have to take a big snap to go over and hit that headshot. And my issue was arising with me, even when I moved the thumbstick a little bit, I would overcompensate and snap past the target, and then when I try to correct, I'd snap back down and over-aim it again. And this is what leads to the 5 bursts just going into outer space and not finishing kills. And with these dead zones, combined with the low sensitivity, guys, I have found the most success in the finer aim movements, which lead to me not only getting more perfects and landing more bullets, but also having a much easier time doing that snap over to hit that final headshot, so my teammates can stop getting so mad at me taking 4 to 5 bursts to finish these easy one-shot kills that should be instant kills in a heated game of ranked. Now, guys, moving on to some drills that I did compared with these settings to just really lock in my aim. And whether you like Academy Training Mode, custom games, or you even go into ranked, guys, what I'm going to show you here is probably one of the things I found help my centering and reticle placement the most, is turning the HUD off, the heads-up display. Now, this will make your reticle disappear, your ammo, your mini-map, depending on what game mode you play, and it will just completely be gone. It will just be you, your BR, and just guessing where the center of the screen is. It sounds silly, guys, but this forces you to hyper-focus on hovering your reticle over the enemy. You are not relying on the help of the little white outline on your screen to show you where to place things, and this will automatically force you to think about what you are aiming at and where you think the center of the screen is. Because I promise you, something I'm very guilty of, guys, is I look at the ground and then I rely on snapping my reticle up to the enemy, and that just takes more time, and it forces you to kind of fall behind in the gunfight, because while you are taking your reticle and moving it to the target, the enemy already has it over you and is hitting bullets. So without the HUD on, guys, you're much more focused on where you think the center of the screen is, and through practicing this method, you can rely on just automatically hitting the bullets because you don't have the help on where the center of the screen is. You have to think about it, and you have to make it kind of a sixth sense, if you will, when playing an FPS game. And I promise you, the more you practice this, guys, when you put your reticle back on, it is going to be so much easier, because now you're focusing more on looking at the enemy and less about looking at your outlined reticle. And of course, I'm not saying play all of your games with the HUD off, because I definitely don't recommend that. I recommend doing it for practice, maybe a little bit of a warm-up, so that when you have your reticle on, guys, you're thinking much more about where you are aiming when you're turning corners, you're keeping your reticle up and centered, and more importantly, you are thinking less about your reticle and more about what you have to do to hit the bullets on the enemies in these gunfights. Next up, guys, I want to talk about practicing without aim assist. Yes, you heard that right. You do not realize how much aim assist does for you on controller. until you play without it. And I'm talking truly without it. I'm not talking about screaming about it cutting in and out during a game, guys. Here we are in Octagon with a friendly bot, and you could probably guess where this is going. Now, before you start to judge it too hard, guys, again, you don't realize how much aim assist does for you until you practice without it. And if you do a drill where you play against a friendly bot, because you do not get aim assist on friendly bots, guys, you do not. And if you can practice and kill enemies quickly without aim assist, my goodness, you do not realize how easy gunfights are going to come to you when you have the aim assist back. Now, guys, I am not saying shoot your teammates. Please do not do that in the ranked arena. But if you want to load into an Octagon or any ranked map with a friendly bot or two on and practice shooting them, guys, I promise you, this is going to help your aim so much in this game. And actually, shout out to DinoFX, a good friend of the channel. He's wanted me to try this for a long time. I used to do this on Call of Duty, actually. I would turn off aim assist and just kind of practice that way, but since you can't in Halo, you can warm up shooting some friendly bots. And let me tell you, if you can learn to hit these shots with no aim assist, guys, you are going to just severely improve as a player with aim and finishing gunfights. And more importantly, it makes you very choosy on when you shoot your BR shots. Now, when we have the luxury of some strong aim assist pull, quite often we find ourselves just constantly spamming the BR, you know, you're strafing over them. Eventually those bullets are going to magnetize and hit. But when you don't have aim assist, only when the reticle is over the enemy are the shots going to hit. There is nothing forgiving about this gunfight, and if you can be choosy and only pull the trigger when the reticle is over them, guys, it is going to go a very long way learning this and turning this into a habit for your everyday gameplay against regular enemies. And I promise you guys, this is not easy at all. Again, you don't realize what aim assist does for you until you don't have it. But I promise you guys, do this little practice drill quite often, maybe even before you go into a game. And then when you jump back over and play against enemies with aim assist, it is going to come so much easier. And lastly, guys, the thing I do all the time that has helped me so much in dialing in my aim is the weapon drills. Absolutely abuse the weapon drills. It takes 0 time to load it up. Take any gun you want to practice, just select it, go down to endless, and you can just practice this thing for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You can do it for an hour if you want to. It does not end. I personally like to do the S7 sniper, the stalker rifle, the commando, guns that are very powerful, but guns that not everybody is super accurate with. And I've said this in a lot of my aim tips videos, guys. Practicing with a single fire gun will help you so much in the long run when you have something way more forgiving, like the battle rifle with such a burst. A 3-round burst is much more forgiving than a single bullet. Now, guys, in these drills, I want you to focus on snapping over, lining up the reticle, and hitting the shot. Snapping over, hitting the shot. Do some little left stick aiming, and line it up. Bring together everything you've learned so that you can hit the shots that you need to hit. And also, as I mentioned, with all the sensitivity, all the snapping to targets, all the finishing the headshots, the better you can get at bringing the reticle right over and snapping it right onto the target and then using that little left stick to line it up and finish it, you will become a much better player. You will hit many more shots, and overall, I promise you guys, your aim is going to improve tenfold. And if you do all of this, guys, you bring it all together, you practice it religiously, I promise you, the accuracy is going to go up, the amount of kills you get is going to go up, and just you are going to find you are shooting straighter than you probably ever thought you could. And again, do the controller settings, things are going to be smooth, and it's just going to make you a better player in the long run, guys. And then you pair that with all your positioning tips I do, all the game movement tips, and everything of the sort, guys. You're going to become not necessarily a top tier player, but I promise you it's going to help your gameplay improve so much, guys. But that's pretty much everything I did to specifically dial in my aim. Apparently not my sniper shots. Forgive me, guys. The hands are a little cold right now. But I really hope these tips helped you out. And subscribe to the channel, guys. We do a ton of tips and tricks like this. We stream 5 times a week, mostly ranked. We've been practicing to get better with the team and everything of the sort, guys. So hit that sub button. Leave a like on the video, guys. It does help me out ever so much if you do so. And then finally, leave a comment. Where do you feel like you are at with your aim? Do Do you feel like these tips are going to help you? Do you have any other tips for other people trying to dial in their aim? Leave it in a comment below, guys. I'll leave a heart on the most helpful so people can get help from the comment section as well as the video that we're doing right now. And then finally, guys, channel membership, super thanks. If you'd like to support monetarily, please don't feel like you have to, but it does help me out ever so much if you'd like to do so. But that does for me, guys. I really do hope this video helped you out. Thank you so much for all of the support lately. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay tuned for the next video.